Hello and a very warm welcome viewers. You're watching the special presentation of Sansad TV with your host Kriti Mishra. One of the announcements of Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman while she presented the interim budget that stood out was the Anusandhan scheme, which promises to spur innovation and research in the tech startup and micro, small and medium enterprises or MSME landscape. The interim budget proposed setting up of a 1 lakh crore corpus to fund research with interest-free loans for 50 years. The fund would offer long-term financing to encourage research and innovation in sunrise domains of technology. The Finance Minister also said that the centre plans to roll out another scheme to spur deep tech research in the defence sector. And to get deeper insights and perspective on these important announcements, I'm joined by a very special guest in the studio. Let's welcome Mr. Rajeev Chandrasekhar, Union Minister of State for Entrepreneurship, Skill Development, Electronics and Technology and Jal Shakti. Sir, welcome to Sansad TV and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Sir, let me quote Finance Minister. For the tech-savvy generation, this will be a golden era, unquote. Sir, your opening thoughts on harnessing youth power while embracing technological advancements.
Look, way back in 2022 on Independence Day, our Honorable Prime Minister from the ramparts of the Red Fort talked about this next decade. And he called it the India Techade. He gave it that name. And in a lot of ways, his vision that the next decade will be full of technology opportunities is a very defining vision. And he further said on that day, I remember very vividly, he said that this India Techade will be architected, built, and its success will depend upon the youth of India, the young Indians. Yes. So in a lot of ways for young Indians today, and I say this when I go to colleges and universities all around the country, they are the luckiest generation in independent India's history. Because they have a government and a leader today that is not just on the one hand creating these many opportunities for them to study, to build their own futures, excel in, but also making sure that the government provides every element of support that is required, including this wonderful announcement in the budget of creating $12 billion or 1 lakh crores as a corpus, so that when there are young Indians, when there are MSMEs, when there are enterprises that say, we want to compete with the world, we want to compete with the world's best, there will be no shortage of money or capital to fund that research, to fund that innovation. So I certainly think that as the Honorable Finance Minister said in her budget, and as the Honorable Prime Minister has said repeatedly, these are unprecedented and exciting times for young Indians everywhere in the country.
Well, absolutely, sir. And talking about another important announcement, of course, deep tech. So first of all, please demystify the concept of deep tech for our viewers and how is it important for our defense sector and national security?
Look, when we talk about technology, and it's important to understand the background of how India has progressed. In 2014, when you looked at the digital economy or technology as a sector, we really looked at IT and ITES companies where there were these large, wonderful companies like HCL, Wipro, TCS, Infosys, who had become, in a sense, the back office for the world. They were supporting global enterprises, digitize, they were creating solutions for global companies. Systematically from 2015, Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has implemented his vision, and his vision has been threefold rather. Technology must transform the lives of people. Technology and the digital economy must create more and more opportunities for Indian startups. And third, most importantly, that India must transform from being a consumer of tech to producer of tech. Now, when you talk about producer of tech, what are the tech that surrounds us today? We look at electronics devices, we look at artificial intelligence, we look at high performance computing power. At the heart of all that is what we refer to as technology, which is deep tech.
Yes.
So deep tech for your viewers and for the general people who are wanting to understand this is we were very good in software, but we are now getting into a realm where semiconductors, the chips that actually go into the electronics we can design, the actual systems that power a technology platform, whether it is a Chandrayaan, whether it is a aircraft carrier INS Vikrant, whether it's a radar, whether it is a computer that we use in high performance computing, whether it is a automotive, the dashboard of an automotive which has got a lot of electronics in it. All this represents electronics, electronic systems design, artificial intelligence, quantum computing. These are all deep tech. This is a little bit more than software programming. This is a little bit more than, not a little bit more, a lot more than IT and ITS. So that is an area that today is shaping and defining every product category. And just today, earlier in the day today, we have launched what is called the Digital India Future Labs.
Sure.
And the Digital India Future Labs is where Indian companies and Indian startups will build the next generation of deep tech and electronic systems for automotive, for industrial application, for compute, for telecom and communication, and for strategic electronics.
And what about our defense sector and national security, the use of deep tech?
Certainly, it must be understood that in a lot of areas, what we call military grade technology and civilian grade technology are converging.
Right.
For example, drones. Drones is an area where it started off as being purely something for non-military purposes. So people will use it, make a video, take photographs. But drone technology today, the same civilian application has also got military applications. So you can see, very, very sophisticated use of drone technology. We are seeing in the war in the Middle East. We are seeing in the war in Russia and Ukraine. We are seeing this now in the Middle East with all the pirates and the Houthi conflict.
Yes.
In the Middle East, where drones, civilian drones, consumer grade technology is being used for military purposes. So the deep tech fund that the Honorable Prime Minister has referred to in the budget is certainly a very welcome thing, because military grade and strategic grade technologies are often the cutting edge of deep tech.
Right.
So the technology required to propel the Chandrayaan, the technology required to propel the INS Vikrant and with all of its sensors, the technology used in the LCA Tejas combat aircraft, these are all cutting edge military grade technologies that have significant civilian applications subsequently. So I think this is really a visionary program that we want to continue the path of making sure that we are making our own technology, we are Atmanirbhar Bharat in these critical areas of technology, and to create a fund that will then in turn support startups and companies to produce those technologies, to architect those technologies, is certainly something very, very visionary.
Well, absolutely, sir. And another area where perhaps India is taking giant strides, the startup ecosystem. And by the way, sir, I'm yet to meet a bigger startup enthusiast than you are. And the budget also maintained the continuity on tax exemptions for the startups. So many more cheetahs, unicorns, gazelles, and camels to follow?
Oh, 100%. I think on the momentum and the energy that the Honorable Prime Minister has unleashed amongst young Indians is unstoppable. And I will go further to say that this unstoppable India is now going to be, is propelled by the energy of our young Indians. I have traveled length and breadth of our country, met with colleges and universities and students all over the country. And I can tell you, as somebody who has spent over 30-35 years in tech, this energy, this momentum that is there in the youth of India is absolutely going to be responsible for this unstoppable India vision, this Vikasit Bharat India vision that the Prime Minister has put out. And on 16th of January, when we celebrate the National Startup Day, just recently.
That's right, sir.
I talked about the next wave of startups. We have today 1 lakh startups in India, over 1 lakh startups and over 112 unicorns. And I said, I am absolutely confident, and I am not a person who makes loose statements or just says things for rhetoric, that in the next coming decade, we will find that the number of unicorns has reached 10,000 and the number of startups have crossed 10 lakhs to 25 lakhs. This is the energy and this is the momentum. And this next wave of startups, this next wave of innovation will come from many, many areas that include deep tech, AI, quantum computing, high performance computing, the metaverse, Web3, cyber security, all of these areas. Just 2 days ago, I read an article about somebody in Rajasthan, I think it was, who has started a cybersecurity startup which has just been acquired by an American company.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so we are today, the young Indian today is, his imagination, his or her ambitions have been so dramatically redrawn by our Prime Minister's own vision and compelling support to them, that I think that what we are seeing in the startup ecosystem is the tip of the iceberg. What is the best from Indian innovation and Indian tech and Indian startups is yet to come. And I think over the next decade, the decade that the Prime Minister calls the India Techade, we will see the full blossoming, if you want to call it that, the full energy, the full potential of the Indian startup and innovation ecosystem, which in my opinion will be, if not the largest, one of the largest and most compelling and most deciding innovation ecosystems to shape the future of tech in the world.
Well, absolutely, sir. Let's be sanguine about that. But, sir, I'll draw your attention to the area of concern, AI, the unethical use of AI. There are global concerns about it. How well prepared is our country? How well prepared is the government to tackle that?
Look, you know, if you go back to the last 20 years of the internet, we all, and I saw the internet in its earliest days many years ago. We all looked at tech with a lot of optimism. We only looked at tech as a force for good. And really the conversation and the awareness that tech can also mean bad, it can also create criminality, it can also create harm, has only started surfacing in the last 5 to 7 years, maybe a decade. We and our Prime Minister has been very clear from the get-go that we are interested in harnessing the full potential of tech for the benefit of our people, for the benefit of our economy, for the benefit of the country and governance. However, as we go down and harness that technology, as we make 120 crores Indian get connected to the internet, make India the largest connected nation in the world, we are also absolutely crystal clear about the risks and threats that technology can be representing, how people can exploit it. So systematically, for example, the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill is one very important legislation to protect people from the misuse of data online. Similarly, we have created a framework that talks about openness, i.e. it should be transparent, safety and trust, and accountability. No platform, whether they are delivering AI applications or non-AI applications, whether they are a social media platform or a social media platform powered by AI, can represent anything but safe and trusted use for our digital nagriks.
Right.
So no platform today can be present on the Indian internet if they proliferate harm, if they enable crime or enable harm to a digital nagrik. And the accountability of the safety and trust, the accountability, whether it's an AI model or a chat GPT or a Bard or a Meta Llama, we certainly make it clear under law and the IT rules that the platforms are absolutely unambiguously accountable for any harm that is caused by that platform.
Right.
So, you know, our approach to AI will be almost a consistent growth of our approach to how we have regulated the internet and social media, which is these guardrails of openness, safety and trust and accountability. AI certainly does represent, Kriti, you are absolutely right. It is one of the greatest inventions of humankind, mankind, but it certainly represents as a threat, as a harm, a force multiplier, a much more higher level of harm that it can cause with deep fakes, it can cause with badly trained models, it can cause problems with bad algorithms. So we are absolutely clear in our mind that the rules that we have today, which are legislation that unfortunately is 22 years old, we will regulate AI, we will make the platforms accountable under law and under criminal law if any harm or any criminality is enabled by that platform.
Well, absolutely. So we are ready to fix the accountability.
Absolutely. We are fixing the accountability. We have fixed the accountability, and no platform can operate in India and say, oops, we made a mistake. There is no oops, we made a mistake. If you're a platform, you better make sure that the platform is only available to digital nagriks of India when it is safe and it can be trusted.
Well, absolutely. Well, that's a great assurance coming from the minister. But moving on, I would like to bring to the this fact to the notice of our viewers that PLI scheme for large-scale electronics manufacturing and IT hardware saw a 35.96% increase to 6,200 crore. Sir plans afoot to make India a manufacturing hub for the entire world, particularly in the electronics sector.
One of the biggest, I mean, the thing that I am so inspired by, and I constantly pinch myself to just make sure that this is not a dream, is India's performance in electronics manufacturing. And if you see, in 2014, we used to import almost 100% of our mobile phones from countries like China. From 2014, after Prime Minister Modi ji made manufacturing a priority, we have seen today a situation where global brands like Apple and Samsung are manufacturing in India, and today almost 100% of the mobile phones consumed in India are manufactured, assembled in India. And more importantly, India is now becoming a hub for electronics manufacturing exports. The brands like Apple, Samsung, Cisco, and there's a whole plethora of global brands in electronics which used to all be concentrated in China that are setting up significant manufacturing plants in India. So India today has gone from being an almost non-existent, inconsequential presence on the global value chains of electronics to one of the fastest growing, most trusted and reliable partners for electronics manufacturing. And I think that in itself is it is an amazing phenomenon. And I'll give you an example. When Tim Cook of Apple came and met me, he said very candidly, 3 years ago we were manufacturing zero in India.
Yes.
And in 3 years, we have grown so rapidly, we are exporting so much from India, such high quality work in India, that it has all been made possible because of the policies that Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji put before Apple even started manufacturing in India. So I think there has been a very clear vision in our Prime Minister's mind that India must manufacture not just for itself, India must manufacture for the world. And in the recent budget, if you see, Kriti, just the day before the budget, the Honorable Finance Minister made some rationalization of import duties for mobile phone components. It is a signal today to the world and to the world's top electronics brands that India is ready to become an export-led manufacturing hub, that we can make export-led manufacturing for India compete with the best in the world. So I think we have moved from manufacturing for India to manufacturing for India, in India, for the world. And that pivot, that change has come through many years of very, very focused policy making, one of which really is the visionary PLI policy of the Prime Minister.
Well, absolutely, sir. Make in India, make for the world. And before we wrap up this conversation, we plan to digitize our GDP, 20% of our GDP by 2025-26. Sir, what is the roadmap ahead?
No, look, if you look at, I think, when we look at the performance of this government, and there are many, many metrics to measure how far we have transport, or how qualitatively and quantitatively our economy has expanded. But if you look at the digital part of our economy, the digital economy today, thanks to Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's Digital India vision in 2015, is today galloping at 2.8 times faster than the regular GDP. It is receiving more investment than any other sector in the country. It is creating more jobs and entrepreneurship opportunity than ever before in the history of India. So the target that our Honorable Prime Minister has given us is that we should hit $1 trillion in the digital economy by 2026-27, which will mean that the overall GDP will be about 5 trillion plus.
Yes.
The GDP of the digital piece of the economy will be 1 trillion. That means 20% of our GDP will be digital. 2014 and before, it was about 4.5%.
Right.
So you can see in the last 10 years, through sheer hard work, policy making of the finest kind, creating investor confidence, what a transformation we have done to the digital and technology ecosystem. It is something that the world recognizes today. The world is celebrating and is in awe and respect of this force that is powered by hundreds and thousands of young Indians, that has been catalyzed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's vision. And the world is really in awe and respect of this. And it is an absolute privilege, and it's been an absolute privilege and honor to be representing all those youngsters, all those entrepreneurs and startups on the world stage on behalf of India. So it has been a great 10 years. And I think, like I said to you earlier, अभी तो ये ट्रेलर था, मेन शो अभी बाकी है. अगले 10 साल में the Prime Minister has promised an India Techade, and I'm absolutely confident that we will go further, faster, and expand even further.
Well, absolutely, sir. Even the naysayers would have to accept that it is going to be India's decade. On that note, thank you so much for joining us, sir. It was an honor and privilege for us to have you in our studio.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Well, viewers, that's all we had for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sansad TV. Goodbye from my side for now.